Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is the second video in my spring cleaning series, and we are tackling all things kids items. So right now we are in my daughter Josie's room, and we're going to go through everything in her room except her clothes and decide what can be donated, what can be thrown away, and what can be put back into a different space of our house, and how can I just make her room function a little bit better. So obviously when I'm cleaning, my kiddos are awake and with me because I'm going to go through their rooms, which does make everything just a little bit more challenging. However, I'm really glad that I am not spending their time when they're asleep doing the cleaning. I can use that to relax. I'm a firm believer that if you can do it when your kids are awake, to do it when they're awake. And as you could maybe guess or see there, they were playing in the broken tent. So they were having the time of their life, which made going through some of Josie's items a little bit easier since she wasn't paying attention to my every move. I'm going through her stuffed animals, and I'm deciding what are items that we can give to a new home and what are some items that I know she will miss. If you're worried about getting rid of stuffed animals or toys for your kiddos, I heard a tip to take the things you don't think that they'll notice are gone and put them into a trash bag. And if they don't mention anything about them for 2 weeks, you're probably safe to go ahead and donate those items. And I think that's a really good tip if you're worried about your kiddo missing something if you're donating items. I am a firm believer that less is more, and so getting rid of some of these items I think will give other items a new life, and that my kiddos will play with those items a little bit more. So I decided to go ahead with a black trash bag here, just so Josie couldn't see through a white one and maybe notice something and decide, oh, I want to keep that instead. I'm going ahead and putting stuffed animals back in her baskets. She has slowly compiled this huge pile in her bed, and it honestly is just such a distraction when she goes to bed at night. So I'm trying to get these put back into the baskets. Of course, if she wants to get them back out and sleep with them, I'm not going to stop her, but I always think it's a good idea to start fresh. The kids ended up getting 2 tents for Christmas, and so since there was one tent that broke, I just went ahead and brought the other tent up to Josie's room. I had it downstairs in our front TV room, and it was just taking up a bunch of space, but the kiddos love playing with it, so I didn't want to get rid of it. But since the one in Josie's room broke, I figured we would just bring this one up here, and when we are playing and hanging out upstairs, then the kiddos can go ahead and play with the tent there. It doesn't mean we can't move it at any point if we decide we want to bring it back downstairs. I'm going through Josie's books now, and honestly, there was not a ton of stuff that I got rid of. I think maybe I pulled 2 or 3 books out, and of those 2 or 3 books, I kept them and just put them in a bin. I have such a love of books and reading, especially children's books. For those of you who are new or maybe don't know, I am a former first grade teacher, so children's books hold a special place in my heart, and I'm just so excited that my kiddos like looking at books and reading books, especially Josie. She'll sit down for large chunks of time and just looking at books, and it makes my teacher mom heart happy. So going through these books, and then I don't really organize them on her shelf in any particular way, mainly because they're not going to stay organized when she's pulling them off and reading. But I did try to keep the harder structured books, so hardback books or board books on one side, and then the paperback books on the other side, just because sometimes the paper books can get smashed or little books can get shoved to the back and forgotten about. So just trying to make sure all the books can be seen and read and utilized there. So I'm wiping out the shelves where the books were sitting and housed before I took them all out and went through them. And I'm going to go ahead and put those books back in here. And then I'm going to go through that box I just pulled out is full of bows, and you'll see me go through those bows here in a second. Josie never really wore bows. When she was a baby, I always tried to get her to wear them, and she pulled them off her head, which fits her personality very well. As a 3-year-old now, and now as you could see, she's got like the coolest ringlet curl hair, and so I'm trying to manage that and get her to wear headbands or maybe things to pull her hair back, because it's very tight coils. So when it's wet and it's brushed out and like fully pulled out, it goes past her shoulder blades, but when it's dry and curled, it's above her shoulders. So still trying to figure out how to manage and deal with that. So if any of you have tips or have tried to style and manage curly hair like that, let me know. I really want her to love her hair, and I think part of that is just learning how to manage it, and so I kind of want to get in front of that before she could even develop any like animosity towards her hair. After cleaning up the kids' blocks that they were playing with while I was working on other things like the books and the bows, I'm going ahead and just taking all these things, these knickknacks, off of the 6-cube organizer here and giving it a good wipe down. The wicker bins at the bottom, one holds socks and underwear for Josie, so I did not go through that since I am planning on doing a video. That's a closet clean out. I'm going to do my closet and both the kids' closets. So we are going to clean out clothes that don't fit or are stained. Those are really for the kids. And then for me, I'm going to clean out anything that just doesn't suit my style or fit or work in my wardrobe anymore. So I just left that bin for that video. The other 2 bins did contain toys, and I went through those. There was a lot of toys to go through, so I did not film those, but I do film a big bucket of toys in Josie's closet that I'm going to go through. I wanted to not move really anything off the top of that 6-cube organizer that I know Josie likes to look at and touch. She touches the unicorns a lot. She likes to use her Tony's box, and so does Jax. He comes in and he plays with that. He's 18 months old and loves trying to keep up with his sister. And then obviously her sound machine is something that I want her to be able to see, since we color code it with, her sleep schedule and stuff. I'm going to go ahead and make her bed here just because it makes the room feel put together. But I don't want to give you any false pretenses. Josie put on her Moana dress and then proceeded to rip off all of the blankets because the bed was her boat and the blankets are now the water. So I was like, oh my gosh, child. But I would never ever stop that kind of pretend play and joy that she has from that. Yes, on the inside I'm cringing because I spent time making her bed, but these are the moments of her childhood, and I would never want to take that away from her. Plus, I think it's like adorable that she's pretending to be Moana and find Maui and all of that kind of fun stuff. In the kids' rooms, I am trying to keep toys and things specific to each kiddo, obviously. So mainly the things in Josie's room and the toys in here pertain to her, but some of them, obviously, Jax likes playing with too, the brooms, the blocks, all of that. We just need like a change of scenery sometimes, and coming from downstairs to upstairs and seeing new toys and new walls can really revitalize the kids. So I do like keeping toys in their rooms. Right now it's really just been Josie's room since Jax has still been in the nursery, and we have kept the nursery really gender neutral, so we can use it with all of our kids. We did not find out the gender for both of our kids, and if we can have more kids, God willing, we plan on having them be a surprise as well. And so the gender neutral nursery has worked out well for us. We're planning on just, cycling the kiddos through there. So there hasn't really been any toys in this room. There have been books for Jax that are geared more towards him and his age. But I have started to compile some toys from Josie's room and from downstairs that no longer fit in the space, and moving them into the next bedroom. We are planning on making up the third bedroom for Jax's new room, and I have lots of ideas, and I'm really excited to get that started. I'm planning on doing a video of his new room makeover whenever we get around to that. Not really in a rush for that since we don't have a third baby on the way yet, but once we do, I'm sure I will start to actually take action on my ideas and my plans. So I was able to compile the items in both of these wicker bins into one bin, and so now I am just reorganizing in this drawer. I decided to put the extra wipes and trash bags in the bin up top, and then I'm going to use the drawer down here for storage of like newborn type items. My kiddos have this craft cart, and I really do like it because we can push it around to wherever we want to do the crafts and use the items. And I had a cabinet that I was using to store all of these items, and it was just really difficult for the kids to access their items without it being a complete disaster. And you'd think because they can see this and have open access to it that it would be destroyed constantly, but they're really good about like grabbing what they need and not completely destroying it. Of course, there are moments when, the bucket of crayons is emptied and poured out, but, that's life with toddlers. So I'm going through here and just seeing truly what has been used up already. I don't think I got rid of anything that still had space in it, but I was just looking, what coloring books have been completely used up. Is anything broken, torn, past the point of, being able to use it or wanting to use it? Sometimes when things are torn too much, the kiddos avoid them. The whole point of the Clean and Declutter series and this spring cleaning series isn't to necessarily get rid of everything in your house. It's just to see what is actually helpful and what are some items that you can get rid of that you've used that are just taking up space. It's not necessarily having to get rid of everything. I don't think I got rid of too much. You saw those 2 trash bags. The black bag was donations and the white bag was actually just straight up trash that I was finding around. So it just pays to go through these things every once in a while, because then your space doesn't feel like things are popping out of it and you're overcrowded. And if you can maintain it, then it's just so much easier in the long run. I love our playroom for the kiddos. It's right off the kitchen, and I mean directly right off of it. So if I'm cooking dinner or cleaning in the kitchen, I can just see the kids, and we're essentially in the same room because it's so open, and I love that fact. The only thing that can get tricky is that because it's so open, I don't necessarily want it to feel like, just like toy mania all the time. So it can get kind of tricky to organize things in a way that doesn't feel like over cluttered and crowded, while also having items out so the kids can see them and know what to play with. So it's kind of a fine line of leaving your items out and having a good organization system. I love those the white cabinets that we installed. They're just from IKEA. It really helps to keep us organized. And then I like to utilize, I have some bins, clear bins that the kiddos can see in, and some like woven bins that can hide other items. I have one that's like a miscellaneous one that has a bunch of random things in it, so it's nice to be able to hide that one. But I like to just kind of line the perimeter of this room so that we can get out our nugget couch and our ball pit there, as you see, and just let the kids kind of go crazy. One thing I was really excited about and proud of during this video is I was able to declutter enough that I moved the tent and that tool, not box, but like the tool bench set up into the playroom and out of the other room. So I was glad to kind of like hone back in on the space. I just feel like toys have been seeping out of this playroom, and it feels nice to get things reorganized and put back into their place. This toy room, I didn't really have a bunch of things. I don't really know if I threw away too much. I believe I threw away one car that was no longer working, like the wheel didn't work right. But the other things I was able to either put away in our toy bins in the basement or repurpose them into Jax's new room. And it just feels really nice to have been able to go through everything, and I'm just aware of what's in the cabinets. I always think that that's a good idea. Kind of like the books on the shelf. It's just nice to be aware of like what books we haven't touched in a while that I think the kiddos will like. And even if you don't get rid of anything, sometimes moving things around and having a new setup catches the kids' eyes, and they take a toy out that they haven't played with in weeks or months, and it gives it new life. And so I do like to reorganize. I don't know if you guys were like this, but my mom's amazing, and I talk about her all the time. But when we were at school, sometimes she would go into our room and she would totally reorganize it. And when we came home, it was so clean and it was reorganized and new. And it was some of my favorite like core memories that I have. And so I think just that reorganizing piece and cleaning and making it seem like a new fresh space can really help kiddos and kind of give them a new life. And so that's kind of my way of reorganizing their rooms, by reorganizing and going through all of the toys in their playroom. I really like this clear bin setup. The kiddos come over here and are constantly pulling things off the shelf. And I think that's because they can clearly see what's in these bins. And these are high trafficked items. So we have cars on the bottom two, trains in the middle two, and then up top are kitchen items. So both kiddos love playing with all three of these shelves of items. Here's the miscellaneous bin I'm going through, and I'm just separating toys that are never played with when this bin is dumped over. And then we're going to go ahead and put them away for a different time, or maybe they're developmentally just not what the kids need, and we'll save them for the next kiddo. I hope you all enjoyed my second video of my spring cleaning series this year. I feel so good about getting all of the kids' items cleaned, decluttered, reorganized, and I'm so excited for my kiddos to get into these spaces and start playing. I hope you all have a wonderful week, and I will see you back here next week with a new video. Bye.